All right, let's dive in. We are going to tackle one of the biggest, most talked about buzzwords on the entire planet, artificial intelligence. I know, it sounds super complicated, maybe even a little intimidating, but here's the secret. It's not magic. It's actually built on a surprisingly simple four-step recipe. And I promise, by the end of this, you are going to see that recipe absolutely everywhere. So let's get into it. Seriously, just think about it for a second. You pick up your phone, you look at it, and click, it's unlocked. No password, no thumbprint, just a quick glance. How in the world does a machine know it's you? Well, that little piece of everyday magic, it isn't magic at all. It's the perfect, bite-sized example of AI in action. And honestly, it's the key to understanding this whole thing. Okay, so let's get a really simple definition down. At its core, AI is just a system that's designed to learn from a ton of examples. Forget all the sci-fi movies and killer robots for a minute. Think about how a person learns to recognize a dog. After seeing a few of them, you just get it. Well, AI does the exact same thing, but it uses data instead of life experience. It chews through massive amounts of information, finds all the little hidden patterns, and then uses those patterns to make really smart predictions or decisions about something totally new. It learns from experience, just like we do. To really get a handle on this, we're going to break it all down into what I call the four-step AI recipe. This is it. This is the fundamental process that powers everything, from your phone's camera to the most advanced AI on the planet. And once you know these four simple steps, I'm telling you, you'll start seeing AI everywhere. So here it is, the whole blueprint for modern AI. Step 1, it collects a boatload of data. Step 2, it finds patterns in all that data. Step 3, it uses those patterns to make predictions. And step 4, the really important one, it improves over time. That's it. That's the entire process in a nutshell. Now let's actually break down what each of these steps really means. So everything, and I mean everything, starts with data. You can think of an AI like a student cramming for a huge exam. Its study material is data. And we're not just talking about a few examples here. We are talking about massive, almost unimaginable data sets. To learn what a cat is, an AI might need to analyze literally millions of pictures of cats and dogs and squirrels and everything else. The rule here is simple. The more good data it gets, the smarter it's going to get. Next up, the AI finds patterns. This is what we call the learning or training phase. This is where the magic seems to happen. It sifts through all that data and it just starts to connect the dots. So in our cat example, it starts to figure out that pointy ears, plus whiskers, plus a certain kind of snout, well, those are all patterns that show up again and again in pictures labeled cat. It's basically tweaking billions of tiny little internal knobs until it gets incredibly good at spotting those patterns. And once it's trained, well, now it can make predictions. This is where all that studying pays off. You can show it a brand new photo, one it has never ever seen before, and based on all those patterns it learned, it can say with pretty high confidence, yep, that's a cat. It's taking what it learned and applying it to a totally new situation. And finally, and this is so crucial, it gets better over time. See, this isn't a one-and-done kind of thing. Modern AI systems are designed to learn from feedback. So every time you correct your phone's autocorrect, or you give a thumbs up to a song recommendation, you're actually feeding it new data. You're helping it fine-tune its patterns so it can make even better predictions for you next time.
Okay, so now that we have our four-step recipe down, data, patterns, predictions, and improvement, let's get to the fun part. Let's see how this simple recipe builds into things you probably use every single day without even thinking about it. We're going to look at a few common examples, and for each one, I want you to try and spot that four-step process.
Let's kick things off with a classic, something millions of us rely on just to get around: Google Maps.
So how does our AI recipe work here? Well, the data is the anonymous location and speed info coming from millions of phones out on the road right now. The AI crunches all that to find the patterns, like it knows that traffic is awful on the freeway on a Friday at 5 p.m. Then, based on those patterns, it makes a prediction, the fastest route for you right now. And of course, it constantly improves as it gets more and more real-time data from other drivers.
Okay, next up, those recommendation engines on services like Netflix or YouTube. The ones that just seem to know you.
In this case, the data is all your viewing history, everything you've ever watched, liked, or skipped. The AI finds patterns in your taste, but here's the clever part. It also compares your patterns to millions of other people. From there, it makes a really powerful prediction. Hey, people who like the same weird sci-fi shows you do also love this other movie, so you'll probably love it too. And every single time you watch something, you're giving it more data, helping it improve and get even better at knowing what you want.
And of course, we have to talk about the one that's on everybody's mind right now, ChatGPT and all these other large language models.
The data these models use is just staggering. It's a huge chunk of the internet.
Billions and billions of words from books, articles, websites, you name it. From all that text, the AI learns the incredibly complex patterns of human language, grammar, facts, styles of writing. Now, this is really important to understand. When you ask it a question, it isn't thinking. It's performing a crazy mathematical trick. It's making a statistical prediction about what is the most likely, most useful next word to come after the last one, to build a sentence that makes sense based on the patterns it learned.
All right, let's look at an example where these predictions are literally a matter of life and death: self-driving cars.
For a self-driving car, the data is a constant 360-degree fire hose of information from its cameras and sensors. Its AI has been trained to find patterns that help it identify things like lane markings, other cars, and pedestrians. But it doesn't just see them. The absolutely critical step is that it predicts their motion. It tries to guess where that bicyclist or that other car is going to be in the next 2 seconds. And based on that split-second prediction, it makes a decision: brake, turn, or accelerate.
And that brings us full circle, right back to where we started this whole conversation: unlocking your phone with just your face.
The very first time you set up Face Unlock, the AI is collecting data by scanning and mapping your face. It finds the totally unique pattern of your features, the distance between your eyes, the shape of your nose, and it turns that into a special digital signature. From that moment on, every time you look at your phone, it's making a super fast prediction, comparing what it sees right now to that signature it has stored. It's a perfect, simple, and elegant execution of our AI recipe.
So, we've gone through the recipe, we've seen it in action all around us. So what's the big takeaway here? What's the one crucial point that holds all of this together? It really does all come back to that simple 4-step recipe. AI works by learning from just enormous amounts of data, getting unbelievably good at recognizing patterns hidden inside that data, using those patterns to make intelligent decisions or predictions, and then constantly getting smarter as it gets more experience. It's this powerful cycle that lets machines do things that, not too long ago, we thought only a human could do.
When you boil it all down, the process is familiar because it's kind of like how we learn. The real difference is the scale and the tools it uses. Instead of human intuition, AI uses pure math and logic. And instead of just one brain, it has access to massive computing power, which allows it to find patterns in more data than any human could ever hope to see in 1,000 lifetimes.
So now you know the secret sauce. AI isn't some unknowable magic. It's a recipe, a very powerful recipe for learning that is already changing our world in huge ways. And that leaves us with one last, pretty fascinating question. Now that you understand the recipe, that it works by finding patterns in data, what do you think it's going to learn to do next? What huge problems are we going to point this incredible pattern-finding powerhouse at in the future? The possibilities, well, they're pretty much endless. Thanks for watching.